The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Checky, joined, as always, by the boy of House Boy. This is the Two Nerds Podcast. This week we are talking about something fucking relevant.
And something fucking amazing. Look, alright, I want to get right out front before we even mention the thing that you've already seen because it's the title probably. Be prepared for this to be the Guardians of the Galaxy again. I know a lot about, I know a decent amount about the source material, so I can talk a little bit more about the backstory than we did in Guardians of the Galaxy, but we are discussing today the newly minted Netflix animated series, heavily inspired by anime, Castlevania, which is obviously based on the video games of the same name. Good God, 4 episodes, each are under half an hour long, is all we have so far. So it's, the season 1 is about as long as a feature-length film.
And season 2 is coming, it's 8 episodes, it is confirmed. It just came out July 7th of the year of our Lord Cthulhu 2017, and it is so good.
It is... Alright, so actually we have two different perspectives here. I know basically nothing about Castlevania. I know, to quote the Tick, I know what you could get off the back of sugar packets about Castlevania.
I thought that was Abe Simpson.
It might have been.
The
Tick is a secret message from my team.
Yeah.
But, that's... Yeah, I know next to nothing about Castlevania. I know a vague idea of the plot line. I have a vague idea of the characters are a Belmont with a whip, Dracula, at some point you fight death, and Alucard, whose name is ridiculous. And...
Which, that was also Vampire Hunter D's name.
I know. It's still a ridiculous name. It's Dracula backwards. It's the Nevea of edgy vampire names.
Oh god, it fits Dracula's character in such a weirdly delightful, accurate way, too. I can't tell you anything beyond the PlayStation era. The Game Boy Advance games and the 3D shit, I have not touched that. Not for any reason other than lack of, access and then money. Speaking of which, I have a Patreon in the description if you guys want to hit that up. But I do know Castlevania 1, 2, and 3. I sure as hell know Symphony of the Night. And Castlevania 4 and another one I'm kind of familiar with. Dracula X. That was it. Oh my god, dude. I mean, this started, right? And this whole thing for me was, oh shit, they're doing this. Oh shit, that's this person. Oh shit, they're gonna introduce this character. And it was just, I can't spoiler-free review this. It's good, go watch it, turn off the fucking podcast, mute the fucking podcast, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let it play in the background, go watch the series.
Speaking of, as someone who knows next to nothing about about Castlevania, I could probably spoiler-free review it a little better, but anyone who knows stuff about Castlevania will probably get spoilers from the things I say. So, it's really fucking good. It's really fucking good. It's 2 hours. Go watch it now. Again, mute the podcast, let it play in the background. But go watch it now.
If you have it autoplay a couple other podcasts, just to drive our views up, that'd be great. Don't actually do that.
No,
YouTube gets mad at you if you do that. I don't know if we've ever been clear on that our advice to just scam us money and views was a joke, but it is. Just give us a like if you like us, and tell us on Twitter that you like us. I like praise. Boy, we'll see it someday. Or comment. I love responding to you guys' comments. Anyway, I am not filling for time, but I know how much we're going to gush, and I'm trying to meter that out a little bit.
Yeah, instead of 5 seconds of silence, you get 5 seconds of tat. Anyway, moving on. Hey, it's over now. Fuck you. As someone who knows nothing about this, I had no problems following this.
They didn't. This is a thing that I feel is very important to highlight for someone who knows nothing about Castlevania. There is nothing in here that is anything that you won't get, except stuff that will not impact your enjoyment of the show. White, because of his familiarity with Castlevania 3, which I think is the one you said they were basically doing.
It's Castlevania 3.
He knows more about what's coming up, what we can expect going forward. I don't, but nothing that would impact my enjoyment. They didn't make anything unclear. They didn't give you anything that you only know if you've played the games. That is important to understand the story.
Sure, everything unfolds. Everything that you need to know unfolds in these first 4 episodes. They give you all the backstory that even sometimes the games sort of skimp out on or info dump you on. Like, we open up on Lisa, Alucard's mother, meeting Dracula and, like, getting in his good graces. And I had forgotten her name. It's been years, but they're talking, and I'm like, why is Dracula being nice to somebody? Is this a departure? And then I noticed he was like, I might want to hit that. And I went, oh, shit. And, like, cut to her being burned at the stake, and I'm like, oh, I know who this is, and that means Alucard's in this. Oh, yes!
Whereas I just saw, Dracula being... Dracula at somebody.
Oh my god, he was
his
so good.
Vaguely sexy, amazingly extra self. and
Lisa calling him on it.
And then, the next scene is her getting burned at the stake, and my brain went, oh, that's probably not going to end well for anyone. He's going to be very upset.
It's a good way to piss Dracula off. God, the animation is pretty good, too. It's not as good as, that studio that did Boondocks and Afro Samurai. But it's really in the same vein, just fewer cells per
it's
frame.
Snappier.
Yeah,
I think is
it
the
is.
easiest way to explain it.
But as good as this is, I think maybe season 2 might have a little more fluid animation, maybe, because that's a financial thing entirely. I know, especially ironically, like a complete departure. The My Little Pony movie. Once the first one came out.
Not irony, but go ahead.
Once the first one came out, they had so many extra frames of animation lying around that they used for the movie that the TV show looked better. Because they'd already spent that money, and it's fucking Flash. They just go, pop, plug, go.
I actually really like the animation. I
do too.
I like the frenetic pace of it. Mm-hmm. I like the way the action is very snappy and almost cutty in a way, you would expect an action movie to be. I actually really like it. It lent a sense of dynamism and action and how to put this? I suppose dynamism works to the fights that I thought really helped. It made them feel kinetic.
I feel like a great comparison is this is like if Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust was made maybe 5 years before it actually came out in terms of the animation quality, because Bloodlust is fucking gorgeous. But if it were a TV show, they would not have had the money to put that much effort into it and to justify it. So it's still really gorgeous, and it has that fucking aesthetic down pat. I mean, there are scenes in the show that the backdrops and stuff they use, the way they draw fucking alembics and fucking science crap is Castlevania. I have smashed those fucking bobules in Symphony of the Night. I have been to that marble gallery, my friend, and there are certain tones, completely different composer, but there are certain tones that evoke the little opening to certain things evoke that Castlevania thing. There's a point where a church choir is singing, and it sounds heavily reminiscent of the save point music from Symphony of the Night, which I'm sure they've used 1,000 times elsewhere as well. Just those little tiny touches are so fantastic, and just the attention to the source material, loving what you are working with.
Which, if you've listened to the Two Nerds podcast, you've heard us go on about a lot.
Yeah, and this has got it in fucking spades. They pay attention to so much shit. The acting is really incredible as well.
Yeah, genuinely really good.
There's a couple guys in episode 2 that are sort of doofy, but they're supposed to be.
Yeah, so. There's the comedy guys are funny. The ones who are there for comic relief are. But, like, the main characters, they're played with gravitas and believability, and it's... I want to, like, especially highlight the guy who, you know, is the one who carries the series beyond episode 1. It's only 3 episodes, but it is the majority of the series at this point. The guy who plays Trevor Belmont is fucking great.
That is Richard Armitage, which most of you probably know as Thorin Oakenshield.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no big surprise there. I was surprised he did so well in voice acting.
No, he was better in this than he was in the Hobbit.
Oh, I would agree. I was surprised he did so well in voice acting, but then we looked it up, and I guess he's done a lot of audiobooks. So, what a great pick. Because
also, I kind of want to go listen to those audiobooks.
They're like Robin Hood shit, so if you're into Robin Hood, hell yeah.
I mean, I'm not, but I find a good narrator helps me enjoy an audiobook way more.
I will say the audio is great. They do some really awesome stuff if you've got a decent audio setup. We have a soundbar, for example, but they shift where the audio is coming from, even within the scenes. If there's a guy who's suddenly off camera and they're in an echoey chamber, it'll be a bit more echoey and a little harder to hear him. So... we watched this with the air conditioner on because it's fucking dead of summer and fuck that. But
so by the end of it, both of us were like crowded up near the TV so we could hear all the tiny little dialogue bits.
Yeah, because every now and then, like, Trevor will mumble something, or, you know, somebody will be speaking in a hushed gasp, and it's a little hard to hear everything. But it's not like...
But we have, like, fans and air conditioners going.
So.
I'm sure if you were in an audio environment, like, say, you're watching it on a computer, which, again, you should
headphones?
be doing right now.
Oh, my God, it would be perfect. Yeah, slap those headphones on and watch this shit. Turn off the lights, man. This is me in the early 2000s. I would have done this shit then. I'd dig it now, man.
It has such an amazing, like, consistent aesthetic.
It does.
And again, as someone who knows, I've maybe played 10, 15 minutes of a Castlevania game ever in my life. So, as someone who has nothing with the series, I've seen people play it, like, on the internet. I've seen you play it, but the aesthetic is so consistent. Hearing you say it's consistent with the source material is also really good, but in itself, it gets its theme across so well, and it made me want to play like a dark, sort of edgy-ish D&D campaign, which I haven't wanted to play since I was like 16, so much, because it gets across the theme, the tone, and tone is very important to me when I watch anything or absorb any media. The tone is so consistent and so well developed and so there that it made me want to experience more things with that tone, which is maybe one of the higher compliments I can give anything.
I come back to Bloodlust again, which is a fucking phenomenal movie. Used to be on my top 20 list. I feel like it got bumped to like 21.
A lot of good movies have happened.
Yeah, but it's like the series for that. It's slightly more lighthearted. It's definitely less grim, but this feels like that. This feels like somehow 2000s, you know, neo-goth culture injected into the fondness of fantasy and the supernatural that has made this huge resurgence in the 20-teens. And it's a beautiful marriage. It takes that phenomenal acting and, you know, that gallows humor and marries it with this horrific, you know, visuals and stunning just backdrops and, you know, good lines. Like, really well-written, well-delivered shit. This is phenomenal.
And, all right, so the story itself that it's telling is really simple.
Sure.
It's, like, deep, it's well-developed, and it's well-acted, but it's also, you know what, I say that, but I suppose not. There's, like, there's a couple different factions who have cross-purposes goals, and...
Well, and I think the story as delivered, like... You can cut this down to an elevator pitch, definitely, 100%. But it's the fact that they filled in the details, like the bishop played by Matt Frewer, and he does a fucking outstanding job. I've always been a fan of this man's work since Max Headroom, and he is spectacular.
Max Headroom, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned he was Moloch, I was like, I know that guy from somewhere else.
I forgot about Max Headroom until just now. I watched him on Sci Factor, which was a Canadian-produced... not the X-Files show. And I fucking loved it. if you guys ever have read my stuff and then you go watch Sci Factor, you'll go, oh, yeah, I get it. But actually, fun, quick side story. My name, my online handle, White Raven, was originally inspired by an episode of Sci Factor.
Oh, neat.
There was I can't remember, it's been forever, but he was a killer or something, and his signature was that somehow, supernaturally, an albino raven would follow him around. And, like, the imagery stuck with me.
And you went with the undead spelling of white.
Well, it wasn't even until, like, 4 or 5 years later that I ever pulled the name back out for a role-playing character. And then afterward, I was like, fuck it, that's my nickname now. The early 2000s are over, let's not be Spork anymore. That name stuck as well, but here we are.
You may notice I refer to him by a rotating list of, like, 6 nicknames.
Yeah, I'm that douchebag who when you meet him, goes, I have many names. Although I do that in my head mostly these days, and then go, I don't know which one to give you. What is appropriate here? Do I tell this man I've just met that he can call me Spork or Whitey? Anyhow, they make an extra effort to mention that this bishop, it doesn't really come in until the last episode, but they take that extra effort to mention this bishop does not represent the church. This bishop's an asshole, specifically. And bothering to do that when it would be so easy and fun not to.
Yeah, it would be so easy and fun for a certain sect of people, and like, yeah, that's right, man. It would be so easy to get those free likes from a certain sect of individuals by not doing that, but they do it anyway because it's more authentic to the genre, and I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And they do that in a lot of different places. Just small little touches that develop the towns, the people, the second episode starts with Trevor getting in a bar fight with a bunch of pissed off locals because he is of a noble house who has been dishonored, and they blame him for all this shit. They get in a fight with him because you can really feel as these guys suddenly start to take on an air of authority. They realize he's the nobility, he's the problem as they see it, and right now he is alone in their bar and they outnumber him.
So you can, like, alright, so if you've ever actually seen a douchebag bro, like, gear himself up to fight somebody, it's so authentic. It feels like what it looks like when some douchebag is gearing himself up to fight someone for reasons he's made up in his own head.
And I've seen this a lot in fiction, and it always is like, they jump to it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I don't like these guys. I'm one of these guys. I guess I'll fight you. This is no. He, like, works himself up, and they play back and forth with it.
You get that like 2-minute segment of your life where, like, the guy's like, well, and, like, he's working himself up. You can tell he's like gearing up to fight a dude.
Yeah, and, like, he's getting his friends around and be like, yeah, maybe we should fight this dude. And it's just so effective. The writing is so good. The pacing is so good. There was, like, one brief point in episode 3 where I was like, I wonder what time it is. And then right back in, dude. And that's me sitting at home with the sun streaming in from the fucking blinds and, like, air conditioners going and a phone in front of me. And I sat here and had no distractions, watched this fucking thing 2 hours straight through.
I always know I always know that White is going to fucking love something when he looks away from the computer or puts the phone down and starts watching it.
Yeah.
And it was like halfway through episode 1, the phone went down and it was just, he was zoned in. And, like, by that point, I was off the couch on the floor in front of the TV, just fucking absorbing it.
Man, we said it was going to be like Guardians of the Galaxy, but there's so much good shit to pick through. I'm having a hard time nailing it down. I dug that we got to see some extra cool monsters. Oh, this is super R-rated, by the way. I mean,
yeah, like
Netflix itself said on Twitter, R-rated as fuck, and that is accurate.
Like, all right. So to give you some context for how R-rated it is, what was it? Episode 2? Because episode 1 was pretty heavily Dracula. Episode 2, I believe, like 5 minutes in, there's a long sequence of jokes about fucking a goat.
That might have been at the end of episode 1.
Might have been at the end of episode 1. But I believe it was the beginning of episode 2. Just a long series. They really linger over the goat fucking joke. And that's That's beyond the gore and the eviscerations and people being lit on fire in very specific detail.
A demon eats a baby.
A demon eats a baby, and it's like a comedy gag because he's just walking by with the baby, and then he looks at someone, and he has the baby, and he's like, my baby, and then he runs away.
But then they do this awesome thing where they take you to the house, and they show the murdered parents. Or no, it's a woman in bed with her husband, and, like, only the husband is dead for some reason. And then, like, they go...
Because demons are assholes.
Yeah, demons are dicks. And then they go to the bloody crib, and, like, the nursemaid screaming in horror.
So you get, like, this moment of, lol, he has a baby. And then, like, you get gut punched with, no, this is a fucking person. That was a dream. That person had a future. You don't get to be happy. And, like, you get both, and you get to enjoy both moments.
I also like how they set Dracula up as a difficult character. Like a three-dimensional, really, like... You can't pin him down as, no, he is evil because, or, no, he is justified because.
He's a Republic... He's not a Republic serial villain, to quote Ozymandias.
Yeah.
He's a bad person.
Sure.
He's overreacting, but he's overreacting for an incredibly believable reason.
He reminds me of Solus in that way, where, like, he's being a stupid, dumb dickhead, but, like... He really believes in his reasons for it, and he sees there is no other recourse.
And actually, a fun mirror is the bishop is the same way.
Sure, yeah.
He's a fucking dick, but he's a dick for something he genuinely believes. He's got that Judge Frollo air.
Oh, he really does. Frollo knocked it out of the fucking park. Dude.
But Dracula, he's... you know what? If you've played Castlevania 3, or you know stuff about Castlevania, or you've been listening to us talk... This woman, charms him, they fall in love, they get married, and then the church, because she's a scientist and knows science things, and that's illegal in fantasy Middle Ages, burns her as a witch, and his response is, oh, well then I'll just kill all of you. Just all of you.
Except for one little old lady, you better leave.
Everyone who's in this country as of now is on my shit list. You were cool. You showed up and gave her flowers. You get one chance. Get all your people, every one of your friends, you fuck off tonight. Because starting tomorrow, everyone who's in here is on my shit list. And he doesn't, he means it. He means it, okay?
They do this lovely little scene where Alucard busts in on him. He's like, Dad, no. And fucking Dracula's like, Dad, yes!
And he's overreacting. Obviously, genocide is not the answer.
Come on, Big Show. Get it together.
He's overreacting for an incredibly realistic reason. I'm sure every one of us has that person in their life who, if, a mob of people came and burned them at the stake, because that's important, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Not just the stake for invented reasons.
That we would, if we had the power, just kill everyone in the vicinity for having anything to do with that.
There's a lot of the drumming home the theme that,
all that is required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
And that's good. Like, that's some good fucking theming. It really gives you the spirit behind Trevor's character. And he's less sanctimonious and like, die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
Which is good, because in a 2017 series, that shit wouldn't have flown.
Except the beautiful thing is, this Dracula, I could still say, what is a man? And tossing a glass.
Oh yeah, well, the extra still works.
He's still 2,000% extra.
Believe me, if they do not have that scene, I don't even care if it's the right Castlevania, they're going to have that scene in the eventual fight with Dracula. Best believe he will say, what is a man, and smash some wine.
I want them to do the scene, and I'm sorry, this might be minor spoilers review. I don't think they're going to do it, but I can hope in my heart. There's part in Symphony of the Night, in order to unlock the true ending, you have to go to a certain basement and find, you stumble through a portal kind of thing, and you are in the square where they burned Alucard's mother, and you play Alucard in that game, if you don't know. And you walk up on the scene, and, she's being really out of character, and Alucard's like, he's freaking out, but then he's like, wait, you're not my mom. Because she's saying, kill the humans, this is what they did to me. And he's like, no, that's not how my mom do.
That's exactly the opposite of her message.
So, this horrific, torturous nightmare, it turns into a succubus that, fights him and tries to kill him. And, like, it's such a really good scene in the game.
Oh, actually, that's definitely going in the series. If I'm in charge of this series, that is whatever season they end up fighting Dracula in, 3, 4. I say season 4.
Depends on how long they decide to go with this thing.
Or like season 2 when they're in the season 2 or 3, maybe 3 when
because
they're in
they
the
can
castle.
they can even do the Castlevania 3 thing and then like move to something else and then move to Symphony of the Night. You know, it depends on how good this goes because that's the thing about Dracula, you can't kills him forever.
No, but whenever Alucard is like they do the thing where they all separate and have to fight individual villains.
Yeah.
That one needs to be Alucard.
Oh my god, I would love that. The character design is so good. They use the inspiration from the original artwork. They update it for the animation, but it's still definitely 100% those characters.
And it's so each of them is actually their silhouette and their character design is filled with character. It helps you understand the characters in small ways. It's good animation stuff. Everything from, Trevor's his like big Jon Snow cloak he wears for most of the series that he then takes off when shit gets real.
Yeah.
To like Alucard fighting shirtless in pants because he is his father's son.
He just woke up from nappy.
No, he's his father's son. The coat was in there too.
I suppose. But it is his fucking coat, dude. I mean, all it's missing is a little frilly bit on the front of his shirt.
To Sypha, like her... I mean, look, the speakers, that's a cool thing. It might be part of Castlevania lore. But her just traditional anime mage attire that she's wearing.
The blue robe with the deep-ass hood. She's awesome in this, by the way.
Yeah, it was fucking cool. She's super cool. She has, like, fucking magic powers.
As she is in Castlevania 3. She gives an awesome speech with the magic fingers. And it's fucking sick. Like, she gets in Sailor Moon pose and starts yelling shit about fuck demons. It's great. And the fight between Alucard and
season
Trevor.
1 culminates in a fight between Alucard and Trevor, which, like, is... I mean, Trevor's being a Belmont. Oh, look, a vampire. I should probably kill that. And there's, like, these undertones of them both sort of posturing about it. Like, they're fighting, but at the same time, they're, like, it's... Trevor's fighting partially because, like, you called him out. You called him out, asshole.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reluctance for Trevor to fight through this whole series, and I like how that doesn't just immediately go away, and he's not like, yep, I'm a hero now. There's still a little bit of that, please don't make me kill you.
And then Alucard, it's like, by the end of the fight, it's clear Alucard, this was an audition.
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, I knew from the start, because I knew what was going on.
I mean, so did I, because I've seen things before.
Sure, but, like, it's just the way he moves, the animation of his attacks and stuff, and he does that sick-ass teleport thing, and oh my god. Yeah, it was spectacular. I mean, evoked memories of Sephiroth as well, so there's your early 2000s awesome fix.
I didn't care about Sephiroth. He was really cool.
It was really cool. I
like that all the people, like, all the fighters, like, so far the main characters, they have a fighting style. And they're consistent about it.
Yeah, I like that a lot as well. I really dig... I think we kind of undercut it, but I really dig the way they do the gallows humor in this. It feels like a lot of the Marvel movies humor.
But, like, R-rated.
Well, yeah, but, like, because there was that point where Trevor cuts off that guy's thumb.
No, it was his index. It was
his index finger, yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm out of practice. I was trying to take the stave out of your hand. How's your finger?" To which the guy responds, "What fucking finger?" And it's great.
It reminded me of when Ultron ripped off Claw's arm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure that'll be fine. That's
Or a lot of times as well, like the Guardians of the Galaxy's darker humor, especially Rocket stuff. It's just some of the throwaway lines and the bitterness and, resignment to a shitty situation.
Like, it's not a funeral dirge.
No.
It's dark, it's gritty, but it also isn't afraid to lighten things up, to break tension, which is important in dark media. You need to be able to break that tension occasionally.
It's a a stylistic choice that I feel comes directly from their anime inspiration. Because this is 100% American made as far as I'm aware. Maybe their animation was farmed out to someone else.
But also 100% anime inspired.
Definitely. A lot like the Avatar series. And just the tonal shifts and the tonal balance, really, you feel that anime influence in a really good way. Like right down to the silly music during the bar fight, which could have just as easily been like heroic, like I'm gonna kick an ass music. No, they're like
it could have just as easily been like, you know, the man is reluctant to fight, like the beginning of basically every Jason Statham movie.
Right.
Man is reluctant to fight. People who do not know what they are getting into try and fight man. Man proceeds to fucking wreck them, which is what I thought they were gonna do. And no, and then he has like a full-on comedy bar fight scene
where he gets wailed in the nuts
like a bunch of times. At some point, he looks at them and goes, "Can you please leave my testicles alone?"
So if you ever wanted to listen to Richard Armitage grunt, "Can you please leave my testicles alone?" Now's your fucking chance.
And like they do, like he has like the comedy drunk blush going on. Mm-hmm. It's just solid work.
It's great stuff. Yeah, I can't recommend this enough.
Honestly, if anything we've said sounds remotely interesting to you, watch the series. It is really fucking good. It's probably one of the best things I've seen through this year. Not the best necessarily, but one of the best things I've seen this year, bar none. I don't know if we'll talk about the other ones in the future. I will certainly be inspired to, but it might be one of those things where we watch it and go, "What the hell can I add to that? What the hell can we add to our first podcast?" You know, it's still great, everyone. Just an update, still amazing.
Yeah. So I cannot stress enough. Watch this. Watch the next season when it comes out. This deserves all of your money. I feel like, especially just the 4 episodes, I was a little worried it was going to run long. No. Not like run long with 4 episodes, but no, they only gave us 4 episodes. And it wasn't too little. It was just enough.
It was enough to hook us. It left me wanting more.
And then we're going to get 8 episodes, and that's awesome because it's not 12 Marvel Netflix series. It's only 8 episodes.
You're really salty about that, aren't you?
You know, I forgot about it. In hindsight, I had completely swept that apart. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh, the Marvel series are all so great." And he's like, "Yeah, but they all run long." And I was like, "God, they do." Oh no, I remember all the episodes I didn't like.
Daredevil Season 1 didn't.
Daredevil Season 1 didn't. It filled out its time nicely. But
Jessica Jones didn't. And I love Luke Cage, but it definitely did.
Jessica Jones, I think, twisted the knife too much. It didn't run long with bad content. I think it spent too much time just digging into you. Maybe an episode and a half.
That's not what we're here about. And I don't want to
certainly
draw too much attention away from the fucking amazing thing. The amazing 4-episode, 2-hour experience that got me my $10 for Netflix for this month.
Yeah, fuck. Y'all paid up Netflix. You get by for another month. Vince, maybe not so much.
Yeah, fucking watch yourself. I think we're done here.
We're always done here.
Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's go!